Hello, hello. So this is my REDCO RPS 1.5 amp power supply. And I got this on eBay about, I believe it was about 4 months ago. And this is actually the back. I had this on bass backwards, but anyway. Screws were stripped out, so we'll have to do something about that. But anyway, this power supply, in my opinion, is NWR. It needs a transformer, and I don't want to mess with it. I want to streamline it a little bit and maybe squeeze out just a hair more power, or amperage, I should say, amperage capability. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to gut this puppy. I believe I'm going to keep it all OEM as far as the back panel goes, and then the front, because I just think that's the whole idea of this thing. I will try to do it. I'll take this, I'll send this out to Body and Paint and see if they can help me out with that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw that little sucker in there. So this is a little, what was this, a 3 amp power supply, I believe. Yeah, 3 amps. And I believe this was around 14.7, 14.8 was the maximum. So this will sit at 13.8, no problem, which is what I'll set this at. And when I was testing this for another project, this thing would poop out at about, I believe it was 2.4 amps. It would just poop out. So I'm going to throw this in here, and I'll still basically have my 1.5 amp rating here, and I'll have a little leeway. So I'm just going to use this to aid a couple little devices on my bench, mostly for the cool factor. I really don't need another power supply, but man, it's kind of cool. All right, so here's where I'm at right now. I think I'm going to quit for tonight. I need to go find a cord. It's starting to get late, and I'm tired now. What is wrong with that picture? It's not the camera. So what I decided to do was kind of dog ear it. This power supply has a hole up here, right here, and one down here in this corner, and it just so happens that it matches those screws right here, and that fits in there just fine, and that fits in there just fine. It's nice and straight, but it's right up, it's like right there, right? Look at that. Anyway, so that worked out pretty good. So did that. Tagged a chassis ground right there. And then I used like an old school PC standoff, for that right there. And it does not touch metal. Look at that. So we're just talking, that's awesome. All right, as you can see, I had to cut this corner out because I want a little bit of protection here. I like leeway. I like a little bit of leeway. Now, the deal with this was no holes would line up to mount this, and I don't believe in epoxying or gluing or siliconing or double sticking or anything like that. I don't want that. I want a physical mechanical mount. So I could have made this easy on myself, I guess. I could have probably just siliconed it down or epoxied it down. And these little rubber feet, they've been on here for like 50 years. They stuck on pretty good. But I could have pried them off and maybe taken some of that black Permatex. I like using that, and stick them on there. Now, I could have just stuck these on, not used the screws up there, and then drilled some, dog-eared some holes. But here's the deal. The reason why I went with this is I wanted this to look stock from the outside, and I don't want it to look like it's been modified at all. And I didn't want to dog ear any screws here, because whenever I have screws that are exposed on the bottom of something, I always end up scratching something with those. It just happens that way for me. So I decided to do this. Yes, it's crooked, whatever, but it is a physical, or yeah, a good mechanical mount. So anyway, I notched this out to buy me some more room here, and I am going to bring the fuse in on the line, so it's going to come in here. The neutral is going to go here, and then I'll have a fuse somewhere here and here to right here. And so if anything goes skiwampus on this side of the switch, right, it'll pop that fuse. So I may or may not fuse this output, the 12-volt output. I have set this thing off, or I should say I have overloaded it several times. It doesn't hurt it. If I plugged a load in here or got my wires crossed, it would just shut this off. But I probably will do this. I probably will throw a fuse in here. But that being said, I could have just used a panel fuse, which is usually what I do. But again, I wanted it to look stock. And yes, that's the way the hole looked from the factory. So anyway, I like the cabinet work on this Redco stuff. I think it's pretty cool. But anyway, I'm going to quit for tonight because it's getting late and I need to go source a cord and a decent strain relief. All right, well, I had to get back on it for a minute. I've still got to go get a cord and a strain relief. Maybe I can dig something up around here, but anyway, that's it. And I'm pretty much ready to get this thing finished up. All right, Darren, this is for you, dude. So I'm waiting for my strain relief, and I've got a proper 3-prong power cord, but just for giggles, I just wanted to make sure I got everything hooked up here okay. So here's what we got. Turn it on. You're interrupting me. I haven't set the voltage yet, but there we go.
Oh, I know, it's just lost in space, that area.
You're lost in space.
Come on and see if you can check out this Mako.
Check that out, dude. That's what it's for. Look at that matching set.
Okay, I'm ready for test. Go ahead.
So I'm waiting for the strain relief. Those will be here tomorrow, and then I'll put the proper cord in, but I just have it mocked up just to check everything out. I could only get this to go up to 13.1 volts. And she's running. And we are drawing just a little over an amp. But yeah, cool. That'll make a nice addition to my quick bench test setup. All right, so this project is done. I've sourced some screws. I'll get those in there and put the cover back. But here's what I have. I got one of, actually I bought a bunch of them. There's like 50 in a packet from Amazon, and I bought some of these strain reliefs. So I've used these in the past. I like these. I think the other ones are a little bit better. You know, well, I call them crimp, but they're not. But you pinch type strain reliefs. I don't know what the real term for it is, but anyway, I like those better. But anyway, I needed some of these for another project. I figured I'll just use this. So anyway, that works out fine. We're fused on the AC sided. By the way, this thing's live at the moment, so no safety Sally action here. Just before I put it together, I am going to put a dab of U6000 in there, 600, 6000, whatever. And so I have a 3 amp fuse here, I have a 1 amp fuse on the AC coming in. This looks worse than it is. It's not rubbing, but when I put it together, I'm going to put this back on top. I just had it here to work on. Added a little bit of capacitance just for giggles. Don't need to, but I've got a whole ton of these things. I got to get rid of them. So there you go. Anyway, I think this is like 5 or 6 years old at least. I don't know. It's what is it, a 3300? 25 volt. So anyway, there it is. We'll turn her on. 13.15 volts is the maximum for this, so that's plenty fine for that freak counter. And a little station lamp, I'm going to use it to light up some of my little lamps in my meters. And I just wanted, like I said, I got power supplies underneath the bench, but I wanted something just really quick. And I thought this cabinet was so cool, so I have to do something with it. I don't want it to sit around for another decade and do nothing with it. All right, back again real quick. I put some E6000 on there. That's the stuff, E6000. I guess I think I said earlier U6000, but this is the stuff. I watched a guy quite a few years ago in Britain, I think it was, and he swore by this stuff. And I think he was using it to glue down faceplates and stuff. But anyway, I like it. And this stuff's drying up. But I got a lot of use out of that, quite frankly. That goes a long ways. But this project is done. So I'm really happy on how this turned out. And runs this thing just fine. It's really weird because when this is cold, from a cold start, it pulls like 1.1 amp. And then when it settles down, after it gets pretty warm, quite frankly, this thing gets pretty warm. Let's turn this around, show you what I did here in the back. Yeah, I got to vacuum the bench, but anyway, it's somewhat clean. So this 7805 gets brutally warm, and the whole back end of this cabinet gets warm, and after a while, after it's on for a couple hours, this whole top just gets warm. Anyway, this just passed through here. That's it. And yeah, just did the dedicated plug for that because, you know, the more I think about this, I think I'm just going to leave this as a dedicated setup. This is kind of the way it was supposed to be. So I've got another power supply for my little station lights and all that. But anyway, I thought that worked out pretty cool. I sent that out to Body and Paint. Raul and Hector haven't showed up to work for like 2 weeks, I was told. So they put Scott on it. Yeah. All right, Scott. Anyway, so that's it. Now I can integrate this into my little instant test center. And this was the whole idea of this project, is just to have a dedicated meter, a quick reference frequency counter. So if the radio puts out any power, the counter's going to catch it. And I just haven't decided what meter I'm going to dedicate to this. So tell me what you would do. I've got a bunch of meters. Got the Royce meter, which is kind of nice and compact up there. I use that between the radio and the amp. I've just always done that, like forever. So I just do it, even though I don't need it, I'm sure, on this one. But the Drake, or the Blade. I'm thinking more along the line of that. I think that would make a little quick bench tester. So I just plug the coax in. I already have plugs coming up from underneath the bench to various styles of radios. So that's not a problem. I can just plug into that. That power supply is always on. If I just, I can get a wattage reading if the radio is putting out or whatever. I want to see if it's on frequency or got any of the frequencies. That's just what this is for. Not for alignments or anything like that at all. Anyway, tell me what you guys think. Thanks for watching. I know this was a lengthy video, but I appreciate you guys checking in, scoping it out. Now I don't have to worry about that. and off to another project.